So this is mundane and at the same time it's absurd. Like it's like really, like stranger than fiction. The truth is stranger than fiction, they say. Because some people have been fighting a war with having a notch under their belt. Like saying, because I have so much recovery under my belt, you got to be nicer to me. You got to speak and say things nicer to me. When really they got veneers, because when the first thing you recover from dope, like Hunter Biden, you fix your teeth. Anybody does, but he was a special case where he got new responsibilities and everything. Like they gave him a whole bunch of responsibility, which is something that somebody who recovered from dope usually has to put back together with their whole life. They probably never get it. Even when they're sober, your grandma's still gonna seeing if you smell like alcohol. So you ain't never gonna, what I'm saying? You don't gonna get no responsibility that you didn't piece all the way back together with almost like limited help. Actually, help becomes a bad word because it's too prompt. Anyways, that's too much. There's a on the love front is a front. On the love front there is a front. That implies that it's like a battle. And so there's a, like usually wars fought between people that don't really actually hate each other. Like you come out on Christmas Eve and sing carols together and stuff like that. Like come out of the trenches and like, so on the left front there was a war. There's a war being fought over whether or not to, and this seems absurd because isn't this your choice to do it, to each his own, what they want to do, but whether or not to remove the filioque from the interpretation of the gospel. Isn't that weird? And then so they had to get into apologetics a little bit to explain the reason for believing that. And then out of that, the Thomists in the Vatican who didn't want to associate themselves with Thomas Aquinas, sort of making up rationalizations and excuses for what they meant that was not a working apologetic. Apologia. Apologia doesn't mean, analogia. Analogia doesn't mean it's like something about whether it means analogy or analysis or an analogy or something like that. It's like slippery. Isn't that strange? I'm not making this stuff up. So on the left front, right, on this front, right, they're like that when they were making those excuses, they suggested something that was supposed to be a universality, and it wasn't a universality. But they were saying that on the basis of a universality, that wasn't a universality, that they formed a principle called non-aggression. Non-aggression. And so the Orthodox approach to, like in science, there's like a methodology. You have an Orthodox approach to interpreting the gospel that they suggest that you have to keep the filioque. It's weird, right? Adopt my non-aggression principle, and then they were suggesting that people should like not have guns and stuff. Like they were going like talking about like taking guns away and stuff, and it's like the Orthodox started to anathematize them. It's like saying that we want you to come back, turn away from your ways of what you're doing, and come back into the fold, like to come back into the Orthodox approach to the interpretation of the gospel. And those other dudes were like, no, like I don't. They're looking around like the other way, like they're. It's almost a sense of like someone who's acts like they're going somewhere, and you hear keys jingling or something, but you know that they'll be right back. They're not really going anywhere, and they're looking around like like they have an option to force you to adopt a non-aggression principle. Then you can't have self-defense, but self-defense is an act of aggression, which was one of the arguments that they made. I'm talking about this like it was a dream, like I waking up from this, like I had to, or I just died, and I'm just explaining what I witnessed in the Easter catastrophe and the transliteration. And see, like you don't have to go to college or university, and the layman has a personal relationship with his Redeemer. And so they would be like talking about axioms, and then going in back and forth about what the transliteration and all this stuff, you know what I mean, like means, and without any epistemology to for universalities. Because check it out, lack of any universal principle is the universal principle. So principles are basis in universalities. And so like what happened was they're sabotaging open forum debate, because they didn't have any analogia. I don't even know this stuff. It's like Latin stuff. Why you gotta learn Latin? See what those people are talking about. Could be interesting. It's how you come out on that. Are you the Orthodox approach to the interpretation, or are you like the one that's like curious Ethiopians? Like, you know how they said curious Ethiopians? They were like looking around, like they wanted to like explore other options outside of Christianity, but they were never they were always so look, they were actually didn't know that they were Thomists. They did not know that they were Thomists, and they believed in the line of succession of St. Peter's. Isn't that a war? That's some crazy, amazing war. And they were fighting it with like love, right? That's the account. Because you only have one chance to give people their flowers, so I just wanted to give account to, and I hope they don't do anything to fuck with the Crucible that show on the YouTube. Like, that would suck because it would, like, like flag. Like, how people get in the chat and start talking about stuff you're not supposed to talk about, and try to get you to say and construe your words to mean like they said something that you can not supposed to even suggest. You know what I mean? Like, we gotta, like, because those guys will fuck it up and they'll get, like, like Sleazy P Martini. That's how they got his show. They could just target with it, whatever it is. They could just target them. Don't fuck with them. You know what I mean? Like, that's all. Because I can't go back to the University of Chicago and you know what I mean? Like, look at an unexplainable mummy of Ramses, like, that's supposed to be drowned in the Red Sea and was not recovered, or something like this. You know what I mean? They'll take your PhD. Like, what is tenure? I don't even know stuff. Who looks like they know anything? Obama? What does Obama know? Doesn't he look like he knows? He's like the only one that looks like he knows something. What does Obama know?